When you talk pin and pull, in my mind, there's two ways to kind of look at it. Some people associate it strictly with buck, and old school buck sweep and try to borrow a lot from those principles. And other people put it more into their outside zone scheme, but particularly for gap teams, right? It's more about getting bodies out in front. So I'm curious to see for anybody that uses it, kind of how you group it or where you group it from a scheme standpoint. We ran it a good bit in 2017 at Sprayberry, and it was a real good play to us. We found some RPOs we liked with it that were real simple, and we felt like against most fronts, most coverages, that it was going to be a good look for us. When teams were getting bare or odd fronts, it would reduce them to tight front and bring those 2-4 eyes. And we weren't real good at center. And that's when we would have issues. If you were going to be a straight up odd, play head up on our tackles, and we felt like, we could handle the nose a little bit because we just told our center basically always expecting to slant strong. But that was kind of where we focused until, like I said, teams were getting bare, and then we were screwed. We couldn't get to the backside 3 technique. There was always an A-gap run through. We had issues, so that constituted for us to try to get into like a wide zone look, and just we would check it up front when we got some of those kind of problem or trouble fronts. And I didn't like that, and so that's why we kind of got away from it and committed to being more of a mid-zone, wide zone team initially. And we went back to some pin and pull elements last year, but not in the traditional sense. So I'll kind of show you guys some of what we have done, and then I will one second. Sorry. Show you kind of some of what we've done in the past, and let me know, if anybody's got anything obviously to add to it. That's definitely what I want. So going back or sharing my screen, when we ran it in 17, we were going to ground the tight end almost all the time. For us, that's just what made the most sense. We predominantly play in an 11P personnel grouping anyway. Mm-hmm. So what for us, we wanted to treat it as much like buck as we could, but one, you don't have the wing on the perimeter that's going to be there to go block down on somebody or crack a linebacker. The other thing was we wanted to avoid kicking out a 9 technique or a walk-up backer if we could. We were really trying to get 2 pullers up to the second level as much as possible. Now, if they wanted to force it from a wide position, we were good to kick it out, but we were trying to get up. So what we would basically do is wherever, regardless of technique, we would man up our end, and then our main goal was then, inside shade, take it, and then we would pull, trying to get up to him, and then pull the backside. There were situations where we would pull our center, and there were situations where we would pull the backside tackle. But that year, we never really got into the business of pulling a front side tackle very often as I kind of went back and looked at it. The big thing for us that we found about pin and pull is it forces backers to be aggressive, which can open up RPO opportunity. And as soon as they get real RPO conscious, it now creates cutback opportunity, right? So like this clip is from early in the game, but they knew how much we worked this little pop RPO on the backside. So, you'll see how patient the backside linebacker and the safety end up being. So we end up cutting back underneath where that will linebacker should be and probably picking up more than we actually, blocked for, I guess. So I know Coach just said the audio's going in and out. I've been having issues. I know I've talked to some other people who've been having issues with Zoom all day. So if I need to repeat something, just let me know. But so that's kind of how we handled our pin and pull. Same team here, same look, trying to get both of those guards out. But we always felt it gave us a good chance to get on the perimeter and then get vertical. And we did find the ball cut back a ton for us. We would also run it some from under center. Like here in the goal line, we would actually, put a tight end wing combination down, and we would now get an extra guy to help seal the edge and still get two guys. And I didn't love it from under center, but it wasn't a bad play for us. Where we struggled is a lot of times we were under center, short yardage goal line. You got guys diving at legs, and the backside guard had trouble getting around. So that was always kind of part for us. I'll show you. We also thought, we could be fairly versatile with it. We would take receivers, put them in the background or the backfield. We'd put a guy in split back. We could motion him back out this way now with a key screen out there and still run buck. We thought that was a good way to get on the edge. Or we'd take a receiver, slip him in here, and instead of being an expanded nub trips, we would be in this compressed kind of nub trips and still get the same pop look. All that stuff was good to us. But, again, it's not true buck. I mean, you look at it right here, it's an odd front. We're telling our tight end to get to the Viper. We're locking him, putting the center on the nose, and we're still pulling. Where if we're running true buck, we would have been down and then trying to get out. So I don't really know how to categorize what we were doing other than it really just being a bastardized version of pin and pull. But like I said, it was effective for us until we got into certain looks. We ran very little. I know teams that run pin and pull to an open set without a tight end. We didn't do it unless we knew we were getting an even front. And quite honestly, we didn't see very many even fronts. I mean, we get one here, and so we run it. But you'll see here, too, we're actually pulling the center and the backside tackle. Now, that backside tackle was hella athletic, and we still get out in front of him faster than we probably should. But we were willing to pull different guys if it meant creating certain angles. Big thing I'll say for us, though, is the RPO we found off of it, and some of you have probably seen this. We would just pair this pop route, we called it a peak route, with a slant and a bubble on the outside so that we had answers for man and had answers for zone. But that was real good to us throughout the case of that year. So anybody got any questions about that? So let me kind of show you what we went to this year.
Hey, Coach, let me ask you a question.
Yeah, go ahead, Coach.
So we have major issues. If we have a tight end and we got a head up technique, getting that edge set. Any sort of technique what did you teach your tight end to really get that edge set to be able to get to that outside shoulder?
So we basically taught it to him, and we told him that if the guy wants to fight outside, run him to the sideline and we'll pull underneath you. And we told the front side guard, be prepared to turn up right now. So we were willing to live with it, hitting a little bit more inside. But we just taught it like a reach, so like right here, I don't know what this clip looks like, but he's got that walk up and the guy's kind of loose. So he's just reaching for that outside shoulder. And the guy being off the ball a little bit obviously helps. But we were willing to, like I said, to pull inside of it that season and be okay with it. I was trying to see if I had any more odd front clips pulled up, and I think a lot of these are against even front because, like I said, so many odd fronts. It wasn't the edge that we worried about with odd fronts. It was B gap. It was their ability to get in bare, and us have issues in particular on the weak side. And we weren't going to run midline. We were never going to read that guy with our quarterback that year. So it just made sense now. So, Trent, I'll say this. What we've gone to now is kind of our version of pin and pull is how we run our toss and our jet sweep stuff. And, again, it's a blend of here, let me show you this first. It's a blend of kind of pin and pull and stretch. So that's the wrong button. Share screen. So what we started doing, can you see this PowerPoint I've got pulled up? So can y'all see that?
Yeah.
Yeah, it's up, Coach.
Okay. So what we started doing, whether the tight end was off the ball, grounded, or flexed out, okay, we were always going to try to get 1 to 2 bodies out on the front side with formation or motion or using the tailback. And then everybody else was basically going to work stretch. And we actually taught skip drive on the backside of it, and just trying to cut off because we were trying to get on the edge right now. So that was a way that we were able to kind of help pin that edge. Is I would take that Y, put him in a compressed set because we run so many of them, and you know, put him 2 yards away from that tackle or 2.5 away from the tackle, and let him now pin the guy and now pull around. So if we got this look, we would actually, instead of being down with our tackle, we liked our tackles. They were athletic. So we would pin the end, reach for the 3 technique, and pull the tackle and get him out in front. If we ever got in a situation where we got an inside shade on the guard, we would make a gap call. We would be down on the end and get the guard and the tackle out in front of both of those guys. If it was an odd front, the tight end had to make a decision. If he felt like he could get the guy, he would make the tag call. We would get the tackle out, but still put the guard on the reach path knowing he could slant. But if we got a 4-eye and the tight end did not think he could get him, okay, he would step to protect it and then work to backer right now, and we were still able to get the tackle out in front. So, like, you know, as we drew it up against different fronts, it became easy for us to build leverage to pin the edge and now get a big daddy out there in front. And if we're doing it off jet motion, you get the tailback out in front as well. So, you know, there, you know, again, another look at it. And then let's see, I've got one somewhere on here. Like here, you know, pin him. We are able to get this look to even get the tackle and the guard out in front. So if we're running toss, you get 2 guys out in front. And if we were running jet, we would add the tailback and create that 3rd body out in front of it. So show it to you first from the wide. So this is us here. You know, we love compressed sets if you don't know me. So, you know, motion here to get a hat, and now we're going to run toss into the boundary. So what we're doing here is we're going to take our point man is going to be down. He's going to look to pin. He should be climbing the most dangerous right there. We're sending him to the corner, and we're going to get our tackle out and around, and he's looking for the first thing coming from inside the box right there. And we're just trying to get it on the edge in a hurry and get, you know, we're looking 4 to 5 yards right there is all we want. You know, we're a little bit tight right here, but you can see, you know, we're able to get the pin. And if 56 was a good player, if our tight end gets any better on him, this is a huge play. But we get the tackle out, and this kid's hella athletic. But we're going to reach for the 3 technique here, and we're going to, you know, we're all just working here. And if I don't overtake right now, I'm trying to climb the backer. But we're trying to make it hit so fast that those backside guys aren't going to be a huge issue. So we ran it like that off toss. So like here it is. This is, you know, we're out of bunch here. So now, and we hold the piss out of the kid right here. But like, so here what we're doing is we're going to put him there. We lock this tackle. He should have, I think, eyes inside. He may go to corner. We get him on the corner, and we get the guard out in front now. So we've pinned the edge. We get 2 bodies out in front. And now we're going from pistol. Going to toss it to our tailback right here. And you can see, you know, it's able to hit quick. And I asked the kid to block somebody. He was not going to have a ton of success blocking. And we actually got away with that holding call. We got called for it a couple times. But you can see it just gives you a chance to get bodies out in front, especially, you know, if you're an inside run team, if you're a heavy inside zone team. To me, that, you know, it's a way to protect your inside zone because you can run it with the back on the same side and toss it out there right now. And get it out there in a hurry. You know, here's another look at it. This team, let's just say they didn't exactly do a great job of setting the edge. So like right here, you can see we get the guard out right here, tackles down on the 4-eye. We pin, get on the edge right now, and we tell our tailback we're trying to get a vertical seam as soon as we can get one. So here, same way, we blocked our jet sweep the same way. So we're stealing all the same principles. So right here, he's going to be down on him. We're there. We're going to get a guard out in front, eyes inside. We're going to get tailback on the corner right there, and we're going to hand our jet. So like this became our favorite way to run a pin pull variation in our offense, because again, it's all about leveraging hats, man. That's all it is, and then trying to get it to athletes in space. And so this was our way of kind of creating space on the edge, and we didn't always do it from compressed sets, like obviously right here, and you can see the end flies outside when he sees what's coming, and we just tell our guys, just stay on, and now let the back go make a decision. We've got numbers. So right there, I mean, we shouldn't have had a damn thing, and we ended up getting, I think, 5-6 yards. Show it from the end zone. You're just able to get hat on hat. We were hoping this spring to look at the exact same blocking scheme, but running it with the tailback on the stretch path, and we just obviously didn't get the opportunity to. But so this is more of a pin and pull that fits into the stretch family and less of the buck family, obviously. But we felt like we felt like it was easy, and you can see that what we're teaching. I mean, look at the right guard right here. We're teaching it like a skip pull. His eyes are on that backer right now. That's where he knows he's trying to fit. We all love the idea originally of trying to get one of those O linemen out on the corner, but the reality is he's probably going to whiff. So we put his eyes inside, let our skill block skill as much as possible, and let our bigs block the bigs. And it was good to us this year. So,
Coach Fields, what we did is that was kind of you asked setting the edge with either with a Y or without a Y or tight end, whatever you want to call them. And what we did is that was our week-to-week scheme regarding buck. I'm a buck guy through and through. I mean, that's my bread and butter. I love it to death. So like, pregame or all week, we might be, all right, we're going to pin them, but then our halftime adjustment, boom, let them come. It's a short pull now, get vertical quick. It's a super, especially like, Broward County, we have some pretty young coaches who are just trying to get in a lot. It's a really easy coaching point for some young guys. Hey, I need you to work on this part right now. Do I need to adjust my check? And it wouldn't change much for anybody except for the path of the running back, and then if it was a quick. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And then Coach DeWeese, you said you had some weak side pressure out of buck. Here, I'll bring up my stuff just because I got some stuff. I don't know if it's even in this cut up. Screen 2. So you had some weak side pressure. Am I on screen 1? Can you see my –
it's huddle. Yeah, it's huddle.
But what we would do is we'd put a sniffer back there on the weak side, and we just have him screen for the 1 or the 3 right now. That way the guard's always going. Our center usually is just our nastiest dude. Doesn't matter if he's 160 or 260 pounds. So I haven't had much success with pulling the center. But we would put that sniffer on that backside to kind of clean up what the guard's leaving. And we'd even, wham it if we had to or whatever. But here's just we call the truck, and then we do it with the quarterback too. So right here, you see we are cracking. We're setting out of that tight end flank. And it's not much, but we at least get one dude out now.
Yep.
And then, I mean, this kid, he only played for a half. This running back only played for a half, and he had 250 yards on 12 carries against a team that made it to state in Pennsylvania. So I think, so now we let him – we don't try and pin. We're just man on, and it's got to be short. But that dumb sophomore guard who's, little slow moving doesn't see it early. So that was like our halftime adjustment, Coach Fields. You see what I'm saying? Like, it's nothing crazy or
just let him run upfield.
Yeah, just let him go. I mean, if he wants to come shooting upfield, that's fine by me. And then we do it with the quarterback a lot too. And it would almost be like our power read. I'm trying to find – there we go. There's one. So we would do it with the quarterback a lot, and our slower dude was actually better at it. So we would put it in like we're trying to lead with wide zone, because we're a big wide zone team as well, even though we called it inside zone, but whatever, that's another conversation. And we would have him insert where that guard leaves, and we'd come around on the backside, usually to the boundary. And now we got hats rolling.
Yeah.
That's where we saw most of the success. And then the only other pin and pull thing that I kind of wanted to bring up, it's not here. I think it's actually in my power cut up because I butchered that. Yeah. Offensive play. Wrap. We gave our dudes liberty once we got good enough in our inside zone that if they thought that they could pin somebody, just go ahead and make a nut call and a bolt call. One dude's the nut, he's got to lock that guy down, and the bolt's got to stick the other dude. So I think it's on the left side here. I got a 6'5" sophomore and then a 5'9" sophomore, but they were so smart. They played well together, and they would call it pretty much whenever they wanted to. And it's nothing, right? Like, if he wants to go inside, go ahead and log him. We do that drill as an offensive lineman anyway. But it's just – that's really the only other pin and pull.
So you would let them do that front side instead of back side.
And let them do it wherever they were. It didn't matter. Those two dudes could do it at any point in the zone scheme.
And the back just has to see it.
He's got to read. So we tell our back, you got the triangle that you're reading, obviously, but his eyes right now need to go to the tackle's far hip. Take your eyes to the tackle's far hip. He's going to tell you his path, and which tells you yours, then find the linebacker. And then the only other thing, and I don't have it on film, that we would in our rollout scheme. So let's do it front side here. So we're rolling right. So whatever, but then we would pin, and then we'd bring the center around.
Yep.
Right? Old school waggle type stuff. But that's the only way with our, 210 pounds, if that, across the board, that we could get an extra hat out there for an alley blitz or something like that. So yeah, that's our pin and pull scheme. We don't really have a play call for half of it. We just it's an offensive lineman check.
Right. Let the kids make the adjustments on the field.
Yeah, let them play. They come off, and we have the sideline. There's whatever it's called, huddle sideline. Look, you're not getting there, so let's go ahead and nut and bolt this the rest of the way.
Yeah. Simple. Anybody else have any pin and pull knowledge they can drop on us?
So I got a little something. Let me see if I can pull this up myself. Where are we at? All right. So y'all see that?
Yes, sir.
All right. So this is just, we go by a lot of rules. All right. And so you'll see down there our front side and our back side rules. The rules for the O lineman are gap to pull. So if they have somebody in their inside gap, they block down. If there's not, they're the one pulling. All right. So that way, if they're jumping from an even to an odd front, doesn't matter. Follow your rules. Tight end's rule is gap to rib. Rib stands for release to inside backer. So he has the 7 or the 5, right? Wherever he's lining up and he's coming down. If there's nobody there, then he's releasing up to the backer. How you called it, a TED call, we call that, but only if there's a player in the D gap. So TED for us stands for tackle, and is in the D gap. So say he bumps out to a 9, that tells him that, hey, you're either going to have, depending on how we want to play it that week, he's either going to kick him out quick, it's going to be a quicker kick, or he's going to log him and try to get him back inside. So that's just the simple rules for us, and our kids have picked it up really well. We just follow our rules. So like when a kid screws up, like he pulls when he's not supposed to, be like, well, was there anybody inside of you? Yes. Well, then why did you pull? So it makes it a whole lot easier when we just go off of rules. Does that make sense to you guys?
Yeah, it does. So like right there against the over front, instead of leaving the center and trying to get the backside guard, you're going to cut that backside shade, get the center out. Is that kind of a standard rule?
Yeah. So, when we're getting that backside shade, that guard knows he's gonna cut him, he's gonna slip inside of him, and that center's gonna be pulling. So it's just as simple as follow the rules. Yep.
Yeah, I like that.
Coach, I got a couple ways that some things that we do. You guys, for the most part, have talked about the blocking up front. That's pretty much what we do. Our rules are if I'm covered play side, I'm pulling. If I'm uncovered play side, I block down. That's kind of how our guys relay that. But and all the stuff you guys talked about up front, we're doing. But what our change ups are on the back end. I feel like every time I get on here, I'm talking about bash. But it's a good play for us. I got a couple clips right here. I'll show you. Right here, we're running. Let me click share.
Yeah, share. Yeah, there we go.
Okay. Come on. All right. So here we're pin and pulling to the boundary. So with bash, we're going to read this D end here. We play a few teams whose backers are reading keys, but if we're playing teams whose backers are really reading flow, then we're going to give you some bash action and hit it backside. Here we're reading this D end. If he flies out to take the stretch away, quarterback will pull it. and right here we get the center and the backside tackle pulling. And if you watch this play side or this backside, who would be the wheel for us, he's gonna chase stretch action, and he's really not even in the play. So that's a good change up for us. Then another way we run it is,
if I can pause for a second, what on that last play? What are you telling the play side tackle, like the left tackle right there?
He's pulling to daylight. The left tackle.
The left tackle.
He's going with this tag. His rule is to seal, is to base.
Okay.
Because he knows it's going to hit inside of him.
Yep.
So if he's outside of him, he's just going to keep him where he is, as opposed to trying to reach him.
Yep.
So if we get it's a split tag for us. If he hears a split tag, he knows he's going to base him instead of trying to reach him. But if he doesn't hear that tag, then he's going to try to reach him. But here it's split, so he knows I'm going to base him and just keep him outside because it's going to hit inside of him.
Yep.
The other way we do it is kind of same side. This is a mirror tag for us, especially because we are running a lot of stretch to the field here. So now we'll give the stretch action to the field, and the back will just pivot and come right back play side over here. Again, we get backers chasing because they're thinking stretch or you're thinking power read to the field. And so we get it coming back the other way. So the back, he'll take 1-2, and then he's coming back play side.
That's nice. Ends up just being a counter.
Yeah, that's all it is. And we don't run true counter, but this is a way for us to get that look without having to install counter as one of our gap scheme plays. So just a couple ways that we give different action in the backfield to run pin and pull.
Yeah, I like that, Coach. Any of your other guys have a version of whether it's true buck or whether it's outside zone? Anything you do to get hats out in front, get guys pinning and moving?
Yeah, Coach Luis, I got a couple of things. Actually, we got our film paid for now, so I can pull up. Let's see. Did I just hit share screen? I've never had to do that before.
Yeah. Should be down at the bottom, I guess, share screen.
Is that pulling up for you guys?
Once you hit share screen, make sure you click on whatever window, like your huddle window.
Yeah,
should be. There we go.
Is that it?
Yes, sir.
All right, so this is at a 10P for us. So like Coach was talking about, you're going to get, when we get back away, a lot of people think I run to the boundary right here. So our little counter off this for us, and this is the team that won our district this year. We had 5 sophomores starting offense, so we took some lumps in 6A football. But this is how we run our pin and pull. It's at a 10P. Our tackle, just reaching that guy. But as you can see, we told our back to slow play it a little bit. He got a little carried away right here and wanted to outrun everybody. But if you notice, there's a cutback. it's going to pop up right there if he'll slow play it just a little bit.
Yep.
Here's the butt shot of it. You see our guys up front, they're full shoulders to the sideline running. Our guys up front, or everybody's trying to get reach. Just we call it, it's our pin and pull out of 10. Here it is. This is probably the best game we ran it out of. I just pulled up 3 clips, 3 different ways we kind of run it. You get 4 guys out front right here. We don't teach our H-back to reach. We teach him, just take him where he wants to. If he wants to run outside, kick him, and we'll cut up behind you. Obviously, if you got a guy like number 1 who can do that, it makes your life a little bit easier.
Yep.
But we just tell our H-back, he was one of our sophomores, just take him where he wants to. If he wants to go outside, take him outside. If he hammers inside, pin him. And then here it is from the back shot. You see the cut back obviously there. And here it is again. This one gets stretched out, but I think Coach said it, our left guard does a pretty good job. He realizes he's not going to be able to outrun it, so he just cuts it up, picks up trash. I'm sure most of you guys run it like that with that sweep of it.
Yeah, I love the way you're running it same side. Is that very expensive for you? Does it take a lot to get that timing down for the back, not to get out in front of those guys?
Hang on just 1 second. I must stop sharing. All right, say that again, Coach. I'm sorry.
Did it take a lot of reps and practice for the timing of that to jive up where the back's not always out in front, or do you feel like it was pretty easy for your kids to grasp?
We actually started doing it mid-season, and the reason why is because our back, for some reason, was not very good about doing it, handing off across face.
Yeah.
For some reason, he just struggled with that. So it actually gave us an advantage because now we could toss it to him, and it made him have to stick his foot and get up in the ground. So we put it in, I think week 3 or 4, and after that, that was how we ran it. We tossed it. So it was pretty good for us. It was probably one of our better runs we had.
Nice. Anybody else work the same side pin and pull? We, like I said earlier, we do it off our toss, but we're not necessarily getting 2 guys out the same way that the coach is.
Now, I have a question off of that. So, Coach, you're talking about your toss, front side pin and pull. Will y'all also run it like, I don't know, 4 weeks ago we were talking about jet and toss and leaving that end come. Will y'all run both of those things? Are they 2 different plays? Is it 1 play with 2 tags? You know what I mean?
If you're asking me, we've done it both ways, and we give it 2 different names. One is we're working the zone track to try to influence, and we're expecting the end to squeeze. So we give it 2 different names when we do it like that. We don't tag it.
Tag.
You're a tag?
Yeah, it toss.
Simple enough.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's what we do. We'll call it toss as well. I mean, that way we get on the same side.
It doesn't change the lineman's guy. That's the thing. If our guys hear another word, they're like, "Oh, I got a new play." Whereas they hear the same thing. It's just toss. It just changes the back. Yeah.
Ben, you were talking about how your running back had problems with kind of like keeping his like the handoff and everything when he's across. What we found was we take the quarterback and have him actually take a step back.
Mm-hmm.
Right. So that way he clears the mesh point.
Yeah.
And it's easier for him to hand off. And that way they're not like running into each other and it's all garbage up in the backfield. So the running back's 1 by 1 from the quarterback.
Mm-hmm.
Quarterback takes a step back, he clears the mesh, and then he actually fakes out. He boots out. So that way we have that boot action on every kind of run we have. So that way at least there's something for the backside to hold it a little bit.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, that's nice. We had to toy with that some when we were running it with, do you change the alignment of the back because we typically had our back set fairly deep, or do you? We just told our quarterback your goal is to lose 6 inches. Put your toes where your heels were when we ran it. Because and Ben, I know we had some backs that were better at it, and it was because they wanted to keep their shoulders square. We ran so much inside zone. We talked so damn much about staying square to the line of scrimmage that now all of a sudden you're telling them, hold up, I'm not square anymore.
Yeah.
So that makes sense to me.
Yeah. And that was the reason why he was a zone back. And then we just didn't have the lineman like we did the years before to do it. And so we were trying to get him the ball, and he just didn't like having his shoulder to the sideline. So that was a good way for us to get it to him.
Yeah, and the toss definitely lets him stay more square.
Yeah.
I'm with you on that. I know best backfield I've ever – and I was actually coaching defense at the time, but we had two guys that ended up signing Division I, and one of them, he didn't care. His shoulders could be anywhere you wanted. The other one, he wanted his shoulder square to the damn sideline, and the first chance he got, they were going to get square, and that's just it just he's playing in the NFL now, so I guess it works for him. But he was the same way. We run power read, and the first chance he had to get his shoulder square, that's what he was going to do. Whether you wanted him to keep pressing the edge or not, he preferred being that way. So. Who's got some goods?
We don't run it, but what I've got that I think a lot of guys might want to take a picture of is some rules that I've gotten from UK. I mean, they were handing out to everybody.
Coach, do me a favor. Hold it up real close, and I'm going to let's see. I'm going to pin your video, and then I think if I'm fancy, hold up. I'm going to. All right, you are good. I'm going to unpin you. I'm trying to figure out how to be fancy, guys. So bear with me here. All right, can everybody see that?
Yeah, look at you go, Coach.
There we go. I'm learning, baby. Learning. So, okay.
Bottom man.
You need 3 pictures probably, Pete.
Yeah, well, you only gave me the top half of it, Coach. Come on. I can only
What about turning? I know it's awkward, but turning sideways to fit his window. Can you turn it somehow? Are you able to turn the photo after you take it?
Let's find out. Yeah. All right. Rotate it. Zoom out just a little bit for me, Fields. All right. Hold. All right. Stay there. Don't move. All right. Now you can move. Now let's see.
Yeah, can you turn it?
Let's see just how fancy let's see. Now, if I go into here, I had to save the picture, so let me.
Yeah.
I'm working on it.
Yeah.
All right, fellas. Oh yeah, good call. It's not. You can't read it as clearly because it was too small. So I've got it, but it ain't pretty. Let's see. Yeah, you can see it, but you can't really read it as easily.
Well, I don't know. I'd like to share it because they don't mind sharing their stuff.
Coach, if you will put your email in the chat, and if you don't mind guys shooting you an email, you could scan that with your phone maybe and send it to us. Would that be a problem?
Yeah, I can do that.
Yeah. So if you'll do that, that'd be awesome. But I mean, you look at it, they give you every major front there.
Yeah, it's pretty dummy proof. To me, like I kind of said earlier, it's kind of the Jimmys and Joes.
Right.
I mean, you can't set that edge. If you can't block down on defensive end, you can't run it. And UK's had such good tight end play for the past, 4 or 5 years that they've been able to do it very well. The second level calls is what I found interesting. But like I said, I can't really speak on it because I've never really done it. Every time we've tried to install it, it's just went to straight shit. So I hate to take up people's time talking about it.
So can you just read what's on the second level calls for me, Coach? I've got it, but I can't read it. What does it say in there?
So on the left, this box on the left, it's a red tank. and it gets a 4-2 under strong,
Yep.
and they make an alley call. And that tells the first puller has the alley defender, and the second puller accounts for the front side linebacker.
Okay.
And then similar to what someone showed earlier, on the right side, it's against a 3-2. It's red tank as well, and they make a box call. And what they're going to do is mirror pull for inside linebackers. The first puller has front side linebacker, second puller has backside linebacker. And again, I think that's really how you do it, Pete, because they're asking their Y to just reach block and
Yep.
take wherever he needs to go.
Yep.
So then they're going to fit tight.
We, I like that, Coach, and I'm going to email you for that for sure. The kind of version that that we use, and Coach did drop his email there for everybody. So, in the chat, but the kind of version we use, we got UConn was running it, and it was on, I think it was on X&O Labs, and as we kind of took it from them. And my big thing was, because we were going to be tossing it or handing the jet, I didn't want to have to worry about teaching a bunch of rules for the backside, right? It was all about handle the front side edge, get the bodies out, and now let's just reach or skip drive everybody on the backside, so it's just less reps and less teaching time for those kids. But if you're going to run it, I like the way that they've got that broken down. That's interesting as far as making the alley call. It makes sense to me how you do it like that. How many of you guys, especially guys that are gun or pistol, are comfortable pulling your center year in and year out? I mean, I know, Liam, I see that finger saying no. And you talked about it with just the guys you've had there. I mean, I've had a couple that I've been comfortable doing it with, but most years I'm not, So
2 years ago, yes. This year, no.
Yeah. It's just, and that's part of the beast of high school football, I think. It's about the kids we get year in and year out. But I know some guys that when they're building that position, they want a kid that can pull, and they position a kid there to do that.
We just want somebody that can snap the ball to the quarterback.
Yeah.
Literally. Amen. Right.
We've never pulled a center one time.
Don't make the quarterback bend over or jump for the football, and you're the best center I've got. Yeah. That's all I'm asking for.
Yes.
Block back and get somebody's way.
Yeah, that's it.
Yep.
I was talking to a guy a few years ago, and they were I think they were a pistol team, and he was good because they were a heavy inside zone team. He was good with his guards being big bodies, but he always wanted a center that can move, because counter was one of their answers to protect the inside zone, and he always pulled his center on counter. He would pull a center in an H or a center in a tackle, and it depended on the fronts. But like against an odd front, he said, I'd rather always have a guard coming down on the shade, because whether he's head up or he's shaded, he's got a better angle. And now I'm getting the center to pull, and in my head I was like, oh, it kind of makes sense. But I've never built an offensive line that way. It hasn't necessarily made a ton of sense for me.
Coach Fields, I wanted to go back to that second level call that we talked about. I think it was red tank or something like that. And it was alley and then first backer available or something, I'm missing the terminology.
Yeah.
Really, man, it kind of sounds like UK is calling it how you talked about your screen rules.
Well,
right?
When I met with my buddy, the reason I want to do this so bad, because we're such a good screen team. It fits very, very, very well with our perimeter calls, because we talk about getting in the alley. We talk about, essentially what they're doing a little bit here is rat kill.
Right.
You can't get out there and you can't get ahead of the back. Well, look backwards. That's rat kill. That's what rat kill is. So we just don't have a cat that can set the edge. And I've been racking my brain of how to get it done effectively. But you're spot on, Coach. It's essentially our screen rules, how we do it at Catholic.
Okay.
Pretty much.
I just wanted to make sure I was on the same page there.
I've got a question for you all. Where are y'all practicing this? What period are you all practicing buck or pin pull?
We used to have that debate because, ultimately we did it during inside, but we always, had the discussion of it's really not an inside play. Do you build it into your perimeter period? And the truth is, when we were running a lot of it, we were such a heavy RPO team that we ended up doing just a lot of team run, right? Full 11 on 11. And we focused as much as we could on the RPO and the perimeter run game. So that, or option game, so that's where we fit it in. But that's a good question. I'm curious kind of how some other guys handle that.
So how we taught or teach it every time is we do an install teach period or an inside teach period, right? But then we actually, again, I'm buck through and through. I'm flex option through and through, and we had a buck drill, and defense knew what was coming, so that was their spill drill, right? And the read and ask drill or whatever, safeties on backers type stuff. But that was our period, and we would start practice with it as a tone setter. But then we would never include it in our inside run period. Even though we might go buck read with it, where we're seeing if, tackles are chasing guards and we'll hit it up the middle, we don't include it in our inside period. It was a really good both sides of the team drill because everybody's got to work spill, and you never want to do it full speed unless you're getting game reps.
That makes sense.
We ran it during the inside run, and our defense coordinator get pissed.
You really want to throw a pass, throw the RPO.
Yeah.
We do ours. We do all H-back, 2-back stuff on Tuesday. On Monday, it's all 10 personnel. Tuesday, it's all 11 personnel. And kind of like what Coach Coley said, we go straight from inside where we're running the counter 17 different ways. And then we run essentially jet sweep and buck for about four minutes. Just as many as we can get to the left and as many as we can get to the right, and that's it for the week. Because even you guys that love to run it all the time, there's going to be spots in the game where it just doesn't fit. And so that's why we don't – you talked about spending a lot of time and money on it. Well, if we run it 3 times, 4 times in a game, for us that's a ton. So we don't spend – we don't invest a lot in it. But it fits in our Tuesday practice pretty well.
I like that.
We basically put in buck to run off of our pop because we run so much pop. We thought that the buck would pull the linebackers out quicker, but not every year we had a tight end. Like we might have had a tight end 2 of the 10 years I was at that school, and when you're not, for me, I was uncomfortable trying to run buck without a tight end because when we were at the end zone, we had the pulls type scheme where you only get one puller, and I never did feel comfortable. Like when we were huge power read and counter. Counter, I was always pulling 2. When we were calling buck, depending on the front, we might only had 1 because we didn't pull the center. It might have only been the back guard at times, and we had a lot of problems with a front side run through and things of that nature. And we were kind of a combination of several of you guys, like, our tight end, we tell him if he couldn't reach, drive him to the sideline. And, so if we got a shade to the front side, tackle would pull, and just, it changed a lot of things depending on the front. It was never like with counter, we're always putting our guard and tackle, and we don't care what front you get in, we're running it, and, we're successful with it. But with buck, that was never the case, and I think, just the time we put in to try to run it and to try to run it against all those fronts and try to get a set of rules to fit, it never did work for us, I got some clips I could show you, and you're going to see some clips, you have a front side run through, and it just, it was very frustrating. Find a pin pull. So, and another reason we did this is we ran a lot of sprint out with a tight end on the backside, and we would also sprint out and throw a tight end screen on the backside, which was good. So we needed something else to go along with this formation package, which is another reason why we kind of went with buck. But like I said, we didn't always have a tight end, but it was always to throw. Anytime we ran buck, we never ran it without tagging a pop route to it.
Yep.
My goodness.
Yeah, coach.
This kid got any eligibility left?
No, he started at La Tech and he finished at McNeese. That was the fastest kid I've ever coached.
That's awesome.
And that was his brother. That was the quarterback. That was a special thing going on. See, like we probably threw it more times than we actually ran it whenever we ran this play. And this team, I mean, they knew we threw a lot, so you can see that back and just take off towards the pop route.
Yep. That's when we ran a lot of it because we were the same way, Coach. It was same thing.
Yeah, when you showed it, it reminded me of this. Like I said, we didn't run it a ton.
Yep.
But I just felt that the time we put in, I just didn't feel it was worth it. Because we were just so good at power and counter and inside zone stuff. Those are our top three. And then, we fed that with our outside zone was our speed sweep. So, and then we tried to run it years we didn't have a tight end, we were mostly 10 and 20. So, this is way we run our pop route as well. So when we tried the pin and pull, so, after this year, we ended up running all inside zone, on our pop stuff. We just stopped the pin and pull altogether.
Yep. And that was kind of how we were. We felt like for what we were trying to do, it was too expensive.
Mm-hmm.
I think if you're willing to major in it, it can be a great damn play.
Yeah, like if I was, I think if, more knowledge on the adjustments, like, with power and counter, like I said, I don't care what you line up in. We know the kids know how to adjust, but just to me, it just bastardized our rules so much that, I just didn't feel it was worth it.
Yep. We kind of got to the same point.
That was a front side run through right there. And just, but I mean, like I said, if that back move, we were trying to get the pop, not the run.
Yep.
Coach, I actually drew up how we practice our buck drill, and I'm going to try and show y'all.
Go ahead.
It's bastardized as all hell. But y'all have my huddle playbook screen here?
Yes, sir.
So basically, we just went half line, like old school half line that we all did in middle school. And defense would work on their two major fronts, and we would work on our one or two plays, whether it was wrap or whether it was buck. And we would have an extra skill on either side, whether he was a sniffer or whether he was – I don't know what I just did. Whether he was working sniffer or if he was flexed out, and we would just call the same exact play with a different tag, right? So if we wanted, 28 truck X, right? X means that we should actually have an X block out here, and now we're coming outside with pinning and pulling, while the other side, they're just running 29 truck, right? So, like, it was and like Coach is saying, we would bang, like, as soon as team one on the right was done with the play, team two, you're rolling, getting your cadence right here, right now. And we had the whole, we're actually practicing, 13, 14 dudes there on offense alone, and we're getting as many reps in as we can because the Lord knows that we got hurt more than anybody in the country. So I just wanted to show y'all the buck, how we did our buck drill.
So there on the left, Coach, if you got a front like that, like a solid front right there for your buck, you'd be down with the tight end on the end, down with the tackle on the three, pull the front side, kick that Sam.
Oh, shit, I don't know what I just did. Yeah, exactly. So this would be a short situation for us.
Yep.
Right, and then we're here, and he's here, around, and he should log right here. And then safety should make the play, but we're hoping that our one's better than your one.
Yeah. So for anybody that was on Monday night when Brent Dearman was on, I thought it was interesting. He talked about, one of the RPOs he showed was kind of a version of buck that he talked about being kind of like a hybrid power, and not necessarily a true buck sweep, because that's, Coach Fields, to your point, I think that's what you end up getting a lot. And so if, let me see here, if you were not on, he basically, let me go, what he talked about was, so, they would ground the guy there. So if you were getting like an odd front or an under front, and of course the damn things don't line up, and that's one of the reasons I don't like auto playbook. What they end up teaching is it almost ends up like power on the front side, where whether you combo or go down, but you're there to kick, and then they actually teach skip pull on the backside, and you're looking for first opportunity to insert on that mic. So if we get great movement here, you're going to end up pulling outside of those guys. But if they, if it's more vertical movement and not horizontal, it almost ends up hitting like a skip pull, and the back ends up with that two-way go. But again, his goal, just like Rhett was talking about, and like what we used to do, is, was going to be to take this guy right here, right now, and try to hit that pop. But I do think if you are a high school, and you see a lot of odd front, it's not a bad way to treat it. I mean, it's just you're damn near running down old school belly on the front side. You're just adding that skip pull on the back side to hunt for that backer. I haven't had a chance to kind of draw it up and walk it through fronts. I mean, if I get a 4-eye right there, I'm down. So what am I doing? Am I taking my Y all the way backside? Because our old rules would have been to keep the Y on that Viper, and now let's try to get out for whoever the alley player is. But I will say this, Coach, if you go back and you start running buck again and the teams are taking away the pop, our answer when teams want to take away the pop, and I'm going to admit that we didn't do a good job of it, was if we ran it to a wide receiver and a tight end, we would crack this safety. So we started basically popping the front side instead of the back side off of the safety. Teams got so conscious of this and being so heavy on the backside to take it away, we started running it like that and just run right at him, pause, hezzy for a second, and then burst right now. And it takes a little bit of more time to develop. But if they're not a heavy pressure front, and you're not worried about the run through, that was a nice little way for us to. If you're so damn worried about that backside pop, we're just going to hit you on the front side with it. It was a nice way for us to handle that. So,
has anyone tried to run buck the Malzahn way with the sniffer?
Tried to, didn't do it a lot. I'm in a group chat with a bunch of coaches. You're in there, and we were talking about it earlier. If you run a lot of power with the sniffer, and teams are hell bent on spilling power, buck is your complement, right? Let his ass spill, log him right now, and pull around. So I think if you're a 20P or 11P team that plays with that sniffer, and you're going to run a lot of power, you can do that. If you're not running a lot of power, I don't see where it's going to fit for you, because he's going to run his butt upfield and is going to end up hitting like power, Right. So that was what I found out when we were running it, because we ran some power. We didn't run a ton. And it was all about matchups for us. If we felt like we could win against that guy with our Jimmy, it was in that week. And if we didn't, it was out that week, And so I think if you run a lot of power with the sniffer, that is a great way to protect your power when teams want to squeeze and spill things. Yeah. I know in 2013 or so, John Ford, who's a coach of the Georgia names guys will recognize, but John was the head coach at Roswell High School, and they were very much a pro-style offense at the time, and with a few wrinkles. But anyway, heavy power team. And we had Carl Lawson, and Carl plays for the Bengals now, and he's hands down probably the best football player I've ever coached. But made me look good a lot because I was the defense coordinator. But he ran at Carl all night long because he knew our entire defense was built around us spilling things. And he knew that that was one of the things. That's one of the reasons Carl was the best I ever coached was he was the best player on the field, but he wasn't trying to make every play. He played within the system every snap. And the system was if they block down, you squeeze them, spill the piss out of it. And so their entire game plan, he has since told me, and one of the guys that worked with him that I work with now has since told me, was literally let Carl spill. Let the fullback put ice on Saturday morning, but let him spill and let's hit everything, power, counter, everything run to him, and let's just bounce the piss out of it all night long. And that's all they worked. And that's kind of that same Malzahn principle, right? If you're going to get teams that are going to do that, use it against them. But if you're not using power to complement that, I don't think it's easy to do. If somebody in here can prove me wrong, please do.
I got a question for you guys. Anybody run same side book?
So, yeah, Coach showed earlier, their version of it. I've never really run it like that though, Coach. I love the idea of it. I've always been worried about the timing of it.
I got a couple clips of it I could show.
Yeah, give it to me.
But we had a pop pass off of it too. But we didn't really throw it much. And here it run back, but my quarterback eyes was wrong here. But he should have been looking over here for this.
I don't think it's pulling up, Coach. It's not showing. It shows the folder with all the plays, but it's not showing us the actual clip.
Not coming up.
Yeah, I think you got to reshare and pick the screen with that clip.
All right.
There we go. Now we got it, Coach.
All right, here. Quarterback eyes should have been here for the read, for the pop pass out of it.
Yep.
Run that. Come across.
So right there, just the mesh that you make it look like inside zone, and then he's back out the other side.
Yeah, and a lot of times we'll play with it because I got sometimes I don't mind if people know them, but we'll cheat up if we're running stretch. But now a lot of people think we're going stretch, and now we stick our foot in the ground and we come backside. Here's another way. Still gonna run it back to the boundary with it. Almost like an unbalanced look. You got the tight end.
I've seen your kids, Coach. I know you got some players, but so you're just taking two receivers. You're not even grounding them. You're just putting them right there by the tackle and letting them use leverage to block down.
Yeah, I don't. What I try to do is, in order to continue to play fast, I try not to change any kind of personnel.
Right.
So better grow up in the weight room and get it done. It doesn't take a whole lot because, again, you got the angles. So, that's what we'll do.
Well,
that guy that you saw there was actually the X receiver. He's the outside receiver. So we got a formation that brings him in, a tight end, a couple of other different things. We also run out of trips bunch that everybody blocked down, and a lot of times we end up kicking the corner out of that.
Yep. And that's why we like to toss out a bunch and out of our 2x2 compress, because we feel like we can get somebody out there to kick a corner. And I mean, I try to make corners tackle as much as I can.
Yes.
Because a lot of times they don't want to. We all know that. So I like that. I like the mesh. I know, Ben, I like the way you're doing it on the toss, but I also like the way that Smitty and Coach you just showed, where y'all are making it look, almost like inside zone, and then it counters back the other way. That's good stuff. So, anybody got anything else, fellas?
Coach, I have one special that I didn't want to. I've been tempted not to share, but I'm going to share it because it's one of my favorite ways to run it.
Give it to me.
All right, so it's out of empty look, okay, and these got the H and the Y are in those 1 yard nasty splits. We ran this in Alabama, and it was kind of a special for us, but they're in those nasty splits, and we got it from a guy that coached at Lynette High School, and he was a wing team guy, and he called it sweep sweep. And out of a 3-man front, he's going to read that safety. If that guy starts rolling hard, he keeps it, and you got Buck
the other direction.
If he stands flat-footed, yes, he is unblocked, but you got that guy hauling at your safety with a one-on-one situation.
Yep.
So we did that, and out of a 4-man front, it's kind of the same look. It's a little bit different. You read the mic instead of the free.
Yeah,
But
I like that.
we ran that a few times. We didn't run it a lot just because we didn't want people catching on what we were doing, and we just kept it for big plays or whatever. And it was dirty because we had our quarterback is at Mississippi College, and they run in the triple option. He was a B back for him, so he was a hard nosed kid, and then we had a really fast receiver, and it was tough.
So it reminds me, though. I'll show you this, Coach. I was thinking about this actually earlier. So there are a lot of teams now, and a lot of college teams, and even NFL teams. If you watch them now, and the way that they're running jet, and a lot of this probably stems from what was going on at Pitt a few years ago, and that what's his name was doing with all 87 motions and all that stuff. So you get the guy in jet, and for most teams, it's they're going to block their inside zone or wide zone, mid zone, whatever, this way, and then the tailback obviously is going to take that same zone path. So what a lot of teams are doing it now is they're not calling it, they're reading it. They're giving the quarterback that pre-snap option, and it's the same kind of deal. If you've got an overhang or a safety that triggers right now on motion, automatically he knows I'm working the handoff now to work the zone. But if nobody triggers, if they're still box heavy, I'm going to now fake the or really I'm going to hand the jet and let the back action try to control the box and create your numbers on the perimeter. So it's just a double option off of that jet. So I was talking to a guy about it, and here's my thing. If you're a gap scheme football team, why not do the same damn thing? But you use your gap schemes. So like what we were talking about, because one of the ways that a lot of people will do it, so let's just work an odd front here, is especially if you're willing to run your quarterback, right, is run Buck back to the tight end now. However, boom, go kick there, take him there, pull for the front side, but read this backside end, right? So reading him, take that tackle, arc him for the inside backer, go put him on force, go put him on the safety, right, and read the end. So if end squeezes and chases, if he's a 4 his eyes are probably on the guard anyway. So you're building numbers now to get on the edge, right, and work your jet.
I can show you this.
Do you run this?
Well, we ran this versus Crisp County. They had 2 outside linebackers. They both were 5-stars. One at Georgia and the other one at Auburn. Yep. And we ran this. And if I can share the screen, I'll show
you're
you.
good. I just done. Yeah, go ahead.
Okay. All right. Let's see. All right, here we go. what we were trying to do, the outside linebackers were hat reading so bad. So, I mean, they were hat reading, and the inside linebacker was on guards. So what we were trying to do, we were just trying to figure out a way that we could get them to flow one direction. That way we can, get the ball to the edge. And so we did almost exactly what you're talking about, except we did it with the running back.
Yep.
We're going to block Buck Sweep to the right, but we're running Bash to the left. He reads the end fly upfield, and turn into a big game.
Yeah, that's awesome. Run that back, Coach.
And the crazy part about it, my guards don't do a good job. I mean, they get blowed up. They don't do a good job of pulling, but they did enough just to draw, the attention.
Yep. Yeah. So just running Bash and Buck the other way, hold those eyes. That's good stuff, man. It's a good way to control eyes.
Now, somebody asked about running Malzahn, but that's pretty much what we do. But we run a lot of power. We run a whole lot of power. So it does kind of work because those ends are squeezing so hard because we run so much power.
Right.
And I'll show you a couple of clips of it. Here we go. We're in stud. This is what I call stud. We got a tight end and a wing. This wing, he's almost too wide, and I never caught it, but he did a good enough job of kicking out the guy. And I mean, hey, we scored a touchdown on it, so I guess you can't complain. If I'm not mistaken, this is a clip where we pull the center and the guard. Yeah, it is. Okay, so the rule for my guys this week, we wasn't quite sure which way these guys would be slanting, but we knew we were going to get a zero or a shade. So I gave the guard in the center the autonomy to say, okay, if we got a head up nose or a shade, you can make a pin call and you can block down and we'll pull the center and the backside guard, I think. And that's what's going to happen right here. Center does a great job kicking out, but backside guard, I mean, if he came with any more oomph to him, we probably score. I'll run that back. Let's see what else we got.
Do you ever have an issue when you're running it away from the tight end of that outside backer being so tight that it's just hell to kick him? Or do you is that ever an issue?
Yeah, we do. And it's kind of usually something that we're going to game plan for.
Yeah.
But most of the time we're going to try to run it to a tight end or to a sniffer. Let me see what else I got here. Now, this is the RPO off of it, and the quarterback misses the guy. But, I mean, we had ran Buck so much this game. If he hit him, the kid probably walks into the end zone.
Yep.
And so what we would do, and what I'm going to change this year, we would run a slant or sometime I could take it as a skinny post. But a lot of time I noticed that the backside receiver will be wide open. So what I'm going to change that to, we're going to run that as a speed in. We're going to run a 5-yard in.
Yep.
And I'm going to teach that guy to make sure that it's his job to get in the quarterback vision. Because most of the time we were running double slants, he just never would see him. Let's see, what else we got here? Here got another one, a Buck. And another thing we do, we run a lot of motion. This one, the guards didn't get out, but we had taught the running back, be patient, look for your highway and hit it. And that's what he did. We're playing Carver Columbus right here, and this was the first time they lost to anybody in Columbus in probably 17 years, but we ran Buck quite a bit that night, and it was a good play for actually one of my favorite plays.
That's good stuff, Coach. I appreciate you showing that. That's the thing, right? As much power as you run, I think it helps you run that Buck that way. I know if I can find a kid next year that plays a sniffer and we can run power again, that'll be part of my conversation in my staff room. I just got to find one because I don't know if I got one. And not having spring balls not helping me find one. So,
Yeah.
That's awesome. Anybody else got anything, fellas? All right. Look, man, next week, I think we're going to have a guest on. I think it's going to be real good. So be on the lookout for Monday. And then next Wednesday, I can't remember what I said the topic was going to be, but we're going to keep going for another couple of weeks here. And then I think I'm going to cut back to one night a week and just so I can focus and spend a little bit more time doing some other things. But I appreciate y'all showing up. Appreciate you participating. And man, like I said, if you got an idea for something or there's something specific you want to talk about, hit me up and we'll make it happen. So appreciate y'all, fellas.